podcast called Jellison Podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Dub. Nice to be with you.
Get out!
He's like, yeah. My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like off field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Jellison Podcast. Today I have two very special guests. One of them is running a little late. He had to run to the store, Lou Jack. And of course, Rapheal Davis is with me. What's up, Ray? How you doing?
What's up, bro? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always.
Yes, sir. Of course. Right before we got on here, it was announced that Roy Williams was going to retire from North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, we hadn't talked about that. So what are your first reactions about him retiring?
Good at your job. That was breaking news. No, I didn't know that. Dang. First reaction is just kind of like, it's kind of crazy, I guess. I mean, you don't think about a guy. I guess you don't think about a guy like that retiring, leaving the school. I bet his impact will just last forever. I guess you never think about Coach K leaving Duke. I guess the first thing I think of who kind of takes over. I would hope it's a North Carolina guy, someone that's came in under him, played for him, or coached with him, something of that fashion. But North Carolina always be North Carolina. So Michael Jordan played. So it's one of those things where I don't think it. He was a great coach, and I don't want to diminish what he did, but I don't really think it necessarily matters to high school kids who the coach is, more so what North Carolina is. So I'm curious to see what they'll do in the future. But he had a great career. Someone I looked up to. I wanted to go to North Carolina at a point. Everybody probably wants to go to North Carolina at a point. So he did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really know who his assistants are. Like Duke has John Shire and Nolan Smith, who are kind of like notables. And when Coach K ultimately leaves, those are two guys that could step in. The first thing that came to my mind was Paint, don't leave. Because I think, I don't know. I don't think he will, honestly. And I feel like you said, North Carolina will go in-house, but I don't know.
I don't see Paint leaving. I don't see Paint. I think Paint just loves Purdue at this point. I think Paint's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wants to win where he is.
Yeah. There was those rumors about him leaving for Missouri, which is actually pretty close to happening. That was close to 10 years ago.
At that time.
You were committed at that time?
I was in that. It was one of those weird times where you're like, do I open up my commitment? Or will I ride it out? If the coach leave, would a new coach want me? I think I had just tore my meniscus. So it's like one of those things too. I don't know. But I was committed at that time. So I remember that. I don't think he was going. I never got the opinion at that time, though, that he was leaving. I never was like, oh, yeah, he gone. Because for me, it never came from him. We never even talked about it in recruitment or anything. It just was kind of like one of the things that was in Twitter, stuff like that. But I don't think he was leaving. But I think Purdue took care of him, as they should. So, yeah. Yeah,
and then people were trying to say that he did get offered the UCLA job, and he turned that down. UCLA's, obviously they're in the Final Four now, but they were in a bad place. But tell me about the another camp that you're running here next week in Fort Wayne, and are things kind of going how you guys expected for these camps?
Yeah, honestly, it's going better than I envisioned. It's going way better than I planned it. It's how I planned it, but it's going better than how I planned it. Just the support we've got. The camp we had in West Lafayette was amazing. The support there. After that, the support we've gotten has been huge. So, like I said, we've always wanted to do this for kids. Work with Lou Jack, getting Lou Jack back with kids, and have AJ back around the kids, and Penny around the kids, and Josh. It's just something that we all wanted to do, and we all put our minds to it, and it kind of came to fruition. So, for me, the camp next week, going back home for a spring break camp, be my first spring break camp back home. We've doubled the attendance that was at the winter break camp already. So, it'll be, for me, it's already a win. We got the same coaches coming out to every camp. We got a system down, same outline. Kids are going to have fun. We're going to have some great food, some hometown food this time. So, I'm just expecting another great week for the kids, and kids are looking forward to it. Just got a phone call before this about camp. So it should be another great week. I mean, if kids want to come out, they come out. We've raised a lot of money for kids to be able to come and play for free. We were able to get 30 kids into this camp for free. So I mean, it's just one of those things where a lot's happening and it's happening at a good speed, and I love how it's happening.
Mm-hmm. I really like the setup that you kind of go by. Like first half of camp, it's kind of like drills and skill work, warming up, stuff like that, and then the whole second half of camp is just letting the kids hoop and do it.
Yeah.
Let them showcase their skills, I guess.
Right, because growing up, I mean, we used to play a lot. I mean, that's kind of for me is you gotta get your feel of the game from playing. I mean, you can put a whole bunch of cones, and I'm a trainer, so I say this, and I train kids. So you can get out there with a trainer, put cones out there, and get better and work on your skill set. But there's no cones on the basketball court. You can't emulate a person being in front of you. So definitely getting them out there, having such. That's why it's great to have such high level coaches, have Division I level basketball players as coaches, where those 3 hours in the morning, we can really get after it skill wise. We can get a lot of work done skill wise. So when we get in the afternoon, let's play. Everybody wants to play. And let's see, not only are we playing up and down, but we're teaching the kids how to play hard. Because when I got to Purdue, I didn't know how to play hard. I had no idea what Elliot Bloom was talking about. Elliot just yelling, play hard. Like, I'm running up and down. What do you mean? So it's like, we can teach these kids that running hard isn't playing hard, that pushing somebody isn't being tough on defense, that boxing out is being tough, diving for a loose ball is being tough, playing defense is being tough. All these things I learned in the toughness book by Jay Billis when I got to college. So if you can learn this at 7, 8 years old and be taught how to play open gym, be taught how to play up and down instead of just running up and down in the controlled setting, it just to help your basketball mentality every day. Because then that next morning, you're looking to work out, but then you're also looking forward to that afternoon to go play again. And then on that very last day, we just play. We just hoop. So it's like, it's a day where you come in and it's not an open gym style, but it's controlled. We stop. I mean, if players turn the ball over and they walk back down, they come out. They got to go sit down because that's not that's going to happen in the real game. You turn the ball over and you walk back on defense, you're coming out. So we really stick to those principles. We stop the game. If a player should have dove on the floor, we talk about it. We talk about defensive rotations, all stuff like that. So especially Penny benched a lot of kids. So it was a good time, and it should be a good week this week too.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys just announced the summer league that you guys are doing with Deshawn Thomas. So talk a little bit about that. Yeah,
the summer league. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, because the summer league is something I've been wanting to do since I was a kid. I mean, something I've been. I mean, even on Twitter, I've been tweeting about since I first got on Twitter, just kind of dreaming about doing it. When I was growing up, we had the Walter Jordan Summer League in Fort Wayne, like 1 or 2 years, something like that. We had the blue uniforms, and Walter Jordan's the guy that played at Purdue. So here I am, 3rd, 4th grade, going to the Walter Jordan Summer League, then end up going to Purdue. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I always wanted to come back because I feel like kids should just be playing ball. Kids should have a constructive place to go and play every day, go and work out, and not have to worry about anything. So Deshawn Thomas, obviously one of Ohio State's best players ever, All-American, professional player right now in Japan. I mean, he wanted to do something back. We're from the same community, from the same side of town. So for him coming back, wanting to do something, obviously anybody that wants to do something in the community, especially the community I'm from, I'm always with it. I don't care whose picture is where, who's who or what. I have no care about none of that. So for me, as long as we see a good cause and we can work together, I'm super excited what we can do. So definitely put together a summer league for him because he's somebody we looked up to. Even he was only 2 years older than us. Well, for me, he was 2 years older than me, but that was Diesel. Like when you said Diesel in our neighborhood, it wasn't Shaq. You know what I mean? That we was talking about Deshawn Thomas. That was Diesel. That was the superstar in the neighborhood. That's who had the nice car. That's who just was the guy that everybody looked to. That was the bar. When he left town, it was who was going to fill those shoes. So it's one of those things now, him coming back, it just can inspire a lot of kids. It can inspire a lot of people his age to come out and be back around the game. It can inspire a lot of high school players to come out and support. But so hopefully we can do something and keep doing it every year and maybe take it to city because as many kids we just keep in the gym playing. I mean, you just never know who could become who. Because from our first winter camp, we had a kid who was new to town, from out of town, Fort Wayne. Family couldn't afford for him to come to camp. We was able to put together him a scholarship to camp, and now he's playing on the best 6th grade AAU team in the town, and he's a starter on that team now. So it's like you never know who can see who and who can turn into what, and whose situation just doesn't allow them to be at camp. But that's why we want to put together as much money as possible to be able to make finances not a limit in basketball, especially in my community.
Mm-hmm. And what's the difference between like the spring break camps and then this summer league?
Yeah, the spring break camps, like this camp is 3 days. Then the other day camps are 4 days. So it's Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday in the afternoons. But the summer league will be a Tuesday. Well, summer league we're taking 40 kids in the 5th and 6th, 40 kids in the 40 kids in the 7th, then 40 kids in the 8th. So we're doing 3 divisions. No, we're doing 4th and 5th, 5th and 6th, and we're doing 8th grade division. And we're doing games. Like you're gonna get a jersey, you're gonna get put on a team in your division. And Tuesday and Thursday, you're gonna get 10 minutes of practice with your team before the game, and then you're gonna play. We're gonna keep record at the end of the season. We're gonna have a tournament. So we got Tuesdays and Thursdays. You get 2 games a week. The next week you get 2 games. Then we set up as a tournament, and then we play. On Wednesdays, we offer a skill session to where guys can come in, and Lou Jack will be training the guys. I'll be training the guys. So if anybody wants to come in on Wednesday nights, we're gonna have a skill session, but we're also gonna have a speaker come in where maybe it's a former professional athlete, a former college athlete, a lawyer, a banker, a pharmaceutical salesman, somebody that the kids can look to and learn from. Because it's not just like, for me, yeah, we play basketball, but what are we getting out of this? Because not everybody in this summer league, not all 100 kids, 120 kids will make it to the NBA, will make it Division I, but everybody could earn scholarship. Everybody could learn how to be an electrician. Somebody could learn anything from somebody, you know what I mean? So it's a thing where your kids come and learn, they come and talk, they come and play on Wednesdays, get food. It's just gonna be a safe haven on just an entire summer league, just an entire month, 4 weeks of games. Then we're gonna cap it off that 4th of July weekend, have some food, have a tournament, and have some more fun.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've told you this, but I love what you're doing. I think it's super dope. I mean, just like the passion that you have, you're talking about like having people come in and talking. I really like that first day camp when you were talking to them about getting things done in the classroom and how like that helped you because you were unable to play basketball. And I think hearing that from a guy like of your stature and your especially them all being from like near the Lafayette area, they know who you are. Mm-hmm. That's why they're there. So hearing that from someone like you is really valuable for them.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and for me too, like what that point is, because it's for me growing up, it's easy to hear, yeah, you got to have a second plan. You might get hurt. Like, all right, I might get hurt walking down the stairs. But it's different when you know a guy, you see a guy who's played college basketball, you watch college basketball, who literally told you 2 months after graduating, he ruptured a disc in his back. Like I was that 22-year-old that had a bad back. I picked up my daughter and it blew. You know what I mean? I don't know how it happened or something. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I'm that guy that can tell that story that in a week from getting my MRI, I had a job with Eli Lilly. I don't get a job with Eli Lilly if I don't make the types of connections that I have, if I don't meet Steve Cohen, if I'm not all academic Big Ten. You know what I mean? It's certain qualities that didn't have to do with dribbling the basketball that took care of me to where now I'm in a position now I'm back in basketball and I'm not dribbling the basketball. So it's a thing where you got to understand that, yeah, you want to go hard and understand you want to focus on basketball, but also understand that life is big. And like Paint would always say, I mean, I may get it wrong, but it would always kind of be like, when you're 35, nobody gonna care if you can make a free throw. And I get it. You know what I mean? Like nobody cares if I can shoot a free throw right now. So it's one of those things where how can you affect the world after you play? And I'm real big on that. But I'm also real big on, because I mean, you could be in basketball. You could be Durant. Obviously, Durant played Division I basketball. He's a college player. He had athletic abilities. Probably one of the most athletic white dudes I know. So it's one of those things where Drew was really good at a lot of things. But I say this in this stand. There's not every video director in the NBA. Maybe they are. I don't know. But maybe not everybody played Division I basketball in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. It's like you can get to the NBA and be the trainer or be the video director. It's a hard thing to do. Or be a GM. Very hard thing to do. But you can work at it and stay in basketball without being a player. And I'm big on making sure kids understand that they can get an NBA check from the Knicks for marketing. You know what I mean? Something nobody really thinks about, working for the Knicks and marketing, but you can be the marketing president for the Knicks And I want kids to start thinking about that right now because, like I said, everybody's not going to be the player.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of getting back into basketball, here's Lou finally getting back with us.
What up, Lou?
What's going on?
You back from the store finally?
Yeah, man. Grocery store run, man. Had to take care of some things. What's going on? What's going on, fellas?
Hey, I was just gonna bring up my next point. I'm putting you on the spot here.
Okay.
Me and Ray were talking about Men of Mackey last night, and we both want you to play. I think all Purdue fans want you to play. So are you gonna try to suit up? I know you've been training lately.
Yeah, you definitely just put me on the spot with that. No, I would love to be a part of that, man. Just anytime you could play the game of basketball, and then obviously representing Purdue University, playing with some of the former guys, some guys I never played with, I would enjoy playing with in that competition level. I would definitely. I like to get out there.
Have you been in contact with them at all?
Yeah, I spoke with Ron actually. We spoke twice. We actually spoke twice. Once was just to check in. He first time was around my birthday. He just asked me, like, would you be interested? And then we talked a couple months ago, just seeing if I was still interested, giving me a little bit of the updates of what was going on. So, hopefully, everything stays in the loop and I can be out there.
We started a campaign.
Started for, yeah, you run that for me, man.
All right, back. I got you. So now that we're both you guys are here, I just wanted to recap Purdue's season and talk about, obviously the year ended on a bad note, just with the upset. And so what were you guys' expectations of this year, and did the team kind of exceed them or did they meet them?
For me, I'll say, I'm gonna start with this. See, I'm not gonna say I'm not even gonna call it an upset. Because for me, I'm not gonna say that team, I'll say that team wasn't seeded properly. So that was a senior-led team that ends up playing one of the youngest teams in the tournament. For me, it's one of those things where you gotta look at matchups and not look at the numbers sometimes. Mm-hmm. We were upset by Little Rock, Arkansas. We got upset. It's a completely different game. We win it by 20. We should have won that game by 40. And they had some dogs. They came back. That second half, they point guard lit us up. But This team was a good team the whole season. It wasn't a bad team. It wasn't a got lucky team. This is an older team that's been together, that's had 4 years. They was bound to go out there and get them one. But for me, I think we did very well. Because looking at this team, compare it, this entire season, I've been comparing this team to my junior year because some guys transferred out. We had no seniors. We had 4 freshmen play major minutes. We had 5 freshmen come in. AJ was our best player. Travion was the best. So there was a lot of similarities there. And there's also but they were better than us. They had a couple of losses at the beginning, but there was no North Florida losses. There was no Gardner Webbs. It was a year where they grew. You could literally see Jaden's growth. So if Jaden gets a summer before this season, what happens? If he doesn't get hurt at the beginning of the year, I don't know if it was Miami or Clemson, but does it happen? So Eric was hurt at the beginning of the year. So Eric really never got, Lou Jack can talk about it, but when you playing defense at that level, jamming, you get hurt, you never really quite get your legs all the way back under you. So offensively, people knock him there, but you're the best defensive player on your team. I've been that guy. What more do you want? You guarding the best player. So for me to see Mason grow into what he become, two of their freshmen earned starting spots. Mason and Jaden earned starting spots by the time the season was over. So I think they had a great year. And looking at where they finished and the hunger they have, when you're young like that, because I've seen that in Dakota and Vince. I've seen them lose in the first round their freshman year. And then there's they don't want to do that again. We lost in the first round the next year, but they go to Sweet 16 the next. They win the Big Ten. They go to Sweet 16. And this is just a thing that continues. So I think they had a great season.
Yeah, Ray pretty much hit on the head with everything he said. Piggyback, I think, the most part, in the Big Ten, we wasn't even selected to be in the top 5, top 6, super young team. The expectation was there, but they played so well that fans started to put more expectations on them. I thought, personally, maybe the Sweet 16 at best, this year. That was just for me. I thought they were good enough maybe to get in there. But like Ray said, the matchup, when a lot of fans forget, man, the matchups you play these senior vet teams and you got a young group of guys is sometimes the momentum can swing the wrong way for you. If you're a young team, like we were down, we always were fighting back the whole time, fighting back. And those guys made shots. You got to give them credit. And it's a great learning experience for those guys. This whole season, everybody's coming back. You got quote unquote your upset losses you took, but you got big time wins in the Big Ten early this year. Like Ray said, these freshman guys, they didn't even have a summer. That June and July, your first year, is so important. Just getting used to the physicality, just starting to learn, the depth perception of shooting in a college arena. So to me, this wasn't an upset. The year wasn't a failure. They exceeded my expectations. I think the sky's the limit, obviously, for those guys. Ray hit on all the players is starting to develop. Me personally, I can't wait to see Zach Edey just in another year. Like, we all knew what Jaden Ivey's going to be. The expectations for Jaden Ivey is through the roof. Mason, I definitely am impressed with him. I remember hearing about him when he first came in, and then obviously dealing with injuries. That's always hard to deal with it and find your space. Eric, like Ray said, man, you play defense and you really give it to the team. Like, he's not struggling on offense, but he has to pick his moments, and he has guys that score. Brandon Newman, Sasha, obviously Travion. So I just think the sky's the limit for this team. This was a great learning year for them, and that's the best blessing, that everybody's coming back. We're not looking at, oh man, we're losing Travion, and if we had him next year, it's like everybody's coming back. So I'm excited for next year, and I think the team, over exceeded expectations this year.
Mm-hmm. And what were this team's biggest weaknesses, both defensively and offensively? I know me and Ray have talked about this. And then how do they improve on those?
Hey, man, this team struggle guard rotations. I don't know if they talked about it. I don't know if I'm even making this up in my head, but it felt like every time, if you wanted a three, you just need to move the ball 2 times and you was going to get an open one. If the ball just reversed 2 times, they was going to get lost. So I think that comes with age too, because I sucked at it. I was the worst defensive player of the year. I mean, in the conference probably. So it's like when I get there and they talking about help, then get back, but close out short to him, but close out long to him, but he got a different closeout to him, and I gotta know them by their jersey numbers. Come on, man. And I gotta dig on this post up because you gotta guard the big different from when Travion's in compared to when Zach's in. You know what I mean? And you gotta help different. You gotta help in the post when Isaiah's in, but not when Jaden's on that player. It's a lot of things that goes into that scouting report that until you sit down and you think, it's not as much as they're bad on defense, it's just a lot. So that brain is moving, but I would say defensive rotations is being in the right spot, but closing out with a hand up. Like Paint would always say you can't let a guy smoke a cigarette while you guard him. You know what I mean? Actually guard somebody. Don't just close out as a formality. So it's one of those things where that comes with experience, that comes with age. And I think this summer, I don't always talk Lou, but I think this summer, defensively, if you don't guard this summer, you're not playing next fall. Because if you get killed this summer, you're gonna gave that person you'll get that person so much confidence going to the fall. And the assistant coaches get into it on open gym. I don't care if they watch it. I don't know if they watch it. I don't care if the managers tell them. They know who killing who. So this summer, I keep saying this, these summer games, these open gyms, some of these are gonna be better than the non-conference games, the competition level. Not saying all non-conference teams are bad, but just you got 10 players on the team that could go anywhere in the Big Ten and start. You know what I mean? So it's you got the type of level on black and gold this year where I don't think there's a weak link. So it's Jaden and Brandon are going to match up all summer. Right. Brandon's going to match up with Sasha all summer. Zach and Travion are going to match up, and Caleb are going to match up all summer. So it's if you can't guard these guys, but if you can guard these guys, you can guard anybody in the Big Ten. If Sasha can guard Brandon Newman, who can get 30 in the Big Ten on any given night, he can go out there and guard anybody. You know what I mean? So I think they learn a lot with open gym and learning how to defend different guys. Because if Travion can guard Zach and guard Caleb, 2 different types of big, you get a whole summer guarding both of them, you'll be versatile. You know what I mean? But I would say it's defensive rotations, though. That's a question.
Yeah. He hit it on the head defensively. Offensively, the only thing I would probably like to see a little bit better. And I think Eric obviously will be in a better pace, better space health-wise for himself to be a little bit more aggressive when those guards Jaden started getting more aggressive at the end of the season a little bit more, but those guys creating, getting in that lane, because we got shooters. So it's just those moments where sometimes I need a guy that can get in here and create, not just for myself, but for my team as well, who's going to be that guy. And I think we're capable. We have 3 to 4 guys that can do it. It doesn't need to just be one guy. But sometimes when that shot clock breaks down to 10, 15, I need to know, hey, I can kind of clear it out. We can set a ball screen for him. He's going to get us in the paint, and we get easy buckets when sometimes things aren't going well and we settle for threes. But, yeah, I think, Ray, the biggest thing is defense. And obviously, like Ray said, it's going to be so much competition this summer, you're going to have to play defense. And to Ray's point, I don't think the casual fan is not a knock to them. Understand how hard it is to close out to Big Ten players because you got guys who can shoot it, put it on the floor, and that's one of the hardest things to do. So the defensive rotations will continue to get better. They'll start communicating more, just talking, understanding what it really means to jump to the ball, be here, and just learning the little tricks of the game as they continue to age. So I think everything's going to be fine with them.
Yeah, like my freshman year, I'm closing out to 2 dudes that's still in the NBA now. I'm closing out to Tim Hardaway Jr. and I'm closing out to Victor Oladipo. I mean, those are the wings in the Big Ten. Like, that's how good the Big Ten, and I don't think people really give the credit to. You know what I mean? I mean, you also got Brandon Paul at Illinois my freshman year, those dudes. You had Deshawn Thomas at Ohio State. You had Tim Frazier at Penn State.
Frazier.
You had, I mean, there's really not, in this league, there's not really a lack at players where you go. You know what I mean? So to win in this league is hard. That's another thing. Like, I'll never get over, like, a dude on Twitter told me, like, winning the Big Ten is nothing. Like, if you could win in the Big Ten, you give yourself a chance. I mean, if Michigan State wins the game against UCLA, you see where UCLA is right now. Like, those seedings don't really give a lot to me because, like, when Lou senior year, Lou's last year, they playing Kansas. If Purdue beats Kansas, it's not an upset in my head. You got Lewis Jackson, Robbie Hummel, Ryan Smith, guys that's won the Big Ten a few times. You know what I mean? So it's like, instead of looking at the seedings, you got to look at the team. So I think the Big Ten, top to bottom, obviously the best league. So the freshmen coming into the league and you're forced to play, I mean, Tom Izzo's going to pick on that.
Yeah.
So you getting picked on. Like, I still remember your guys get the year I was Defensive Player of the Year. I come out the game, they running the play at whoever was guarding my man. So it's like they're gonna find out who you can pick on. It's a matchup thing. You got coaches watch 10, 12 games of film before they play you. They're gonna find where you weak at. That's their job. They get paid millions of dollars to find out where you weak. So I think, like, we're not out there losing on purpose. Guys ain't out there wrong on purpose. It's not like we're out there playing against ourselves sometimes. You know what I mean? But guys have to be better. Guys will be better. But I think having a summer will be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then going off of that, I know, Lou, you and I talked about this at camp that first day about all the people kind of going at paint for the first round loss, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit. But basically echo what you said. Talk about why paint, like your feelings on people coming at paint, basically.
I mean, to me, yeah, gloves off. People can say what they want to about me, but it's stupid. The emotions that people display after a loss and to attack them is stupid because I know me and you discussed this. That was 2 years ago. My Elite Eight, we're out away from the Final Four, and when he gets to the Elite Eight, it's like, oh my God, Matt Painter, great job, great, I love you, like you're almighty, like, sing your praises. Now we lose, like Ray said, we lose to a team where you quote unquote think it's an upset, but it's matchups. But sometimes it's just the way the ball bounces. Like, this coach just took a team. Nobody had expectations to be a competitor in the Big Ten. Think about that. He might not even, we weren't supposed to even make the tournament. If you can't compete in the Big Ten, you're not supposed to make the tournament. And you do that. So now the expectations get higher. And then once the team has a bad game, it happens. Only one team is going to win. Like, and everybody's saying, oh my God, I'm tired of this. I seen one fan say, I've been a fan since the 80s. When is this going to stop? And it's like, have you guys really looked at how many people really won a national championship, made it to a Final Four? Like, we go through the list of great players to never see a Final Four, Elite Eight, Sweet 16. You'd be shocked. But then you took a guy like Tony Bennett. Think he's a great coach. But Tony Bennett beat Matt Painter. If that switches over, are the fans of Virginia saying we suck, he sucks, or Chris Beard, that, you know, like, you're a game away. You're a moment away. So when fans get super emotional like that and say things like that, it bothers me because you have a coach in Matt Painter. I think for me every year, at least the expectations are we're going to be top 4, top 5 in the Big Ten. We're going to most likely be at least a Sweet 16 team and beyond. And for consistency, I mean, it's no knock to IU, but how many coaches has IU had since I graduated? They're like on a 4th, 5th coach. And we have a staple coach that's there. And I think for fans sometimes it's just, I get the emotion, I get the passion, but you can't want this man fired as much as he's producing. Like we're winning, we have winning seasons every year.
In the one year we had a bad year, we followed it up with a top 3 finish in the league with all freshmen. So it's like, for me, it's the same thing. What you want from a guy that's won? You know what I mean? We won.
Mm-hmm.
You got players in the NBA. Obviously, his players like him. His players talk well about him. There's not much. There's no blemishes on the record. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get it. I never understand how fans could bash, especially after a year like this. Because the year that the players had, I mean, I'd be able to get in the gym. I mean, the year that coach had, I didn't be able to recruit properly, you know what I mean, or scout properly, or be able to have fans in the arena, or be able to go through normal things. So just being able to go through a year where you are already not expected of much, and then you have things against you and you still overexceed. You know what I mean? You still have one of the best defenders in the conference, one of the best players in the conference, and some of the best freshmen in the conference. And then Isaiah finished the year great. So for me, I never understand. I think it's like Lucy, I agree. I don't understand that when people can kind of come at that, especially when you think of, I was there, like these, and I'm just gonna say it, like there are a lot more fans right now than there was in 2013, 2014. Like the Mackey wasn't full. So like when we were bad, a lot of these people didn't see us be bad. Like we were bad at one point. Like we were lower than Welsh shit. Like so it's like we were bad at one point. So it's like we had Travis Carroll and Teron Johnson's get their senior night speech, and people were walking out. I was there when Rob gave his and Etwan gave his. I seen that. I seen when they got the microphone what happened. So it's like I've seen also when people walk out. So it's like now we're mad. So we went from being last. We get so entitled. We get so. I don't know what to call it, but we were once there not that long ago. Because somebody said something decades ago, but not even a decade ago. We lasted in the Big Ten, and then from then, I mean, there's nothing you can say about Payne. He's got who he's winning recruiting. Even when we didn't get who we want, we still win games. I mean, Carson's NBA player, Biggie's NBA player, AJ's NBA player. He's an NBA player every year. I mean, also we win games every year ever since. We've made the tournament every year since I left. We haven't lost to our in-state rival since my senior year on a bad goaltending call. So for me, you want a guy that's going to beat his rival. You want a guy that's going to make it to the tournament. You want a guy that's going to compete for the league. And also, I mean, it's even more fun that the dude played at Purdue and that the dude played in the league.
Yeah.
Like those stories are even better. It feels better when it's your guy doing it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Let me pose this question. I mean, because let me pose this question. But I got a couple friends. They're IU guys, and I just always mess with them about, man, y'all expectations are ridiculous. Like y'all talk about a national championship in whatever decade, like that's been gone. And for fans, I guess, what is the expectations for a good coach? Because is Coach K, this is obviously Coach K's worst year, but Coach K doesn't win a national championship every 2 years. It's what are your expectations of your school, of your team? Are you realistic? Are you where do you set the bar as a fan and pick your expectations? And then, are you being realistic about it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think from my perspective, it's different from like the casual fan, people that don't have the opportunity to talk to you guys or don't see it. Because like I agree with everything you guys are saying right now. Top 4 in the Big Ten every year. I mean, if you're not winning some Big Ten titles, if you're not happy with that, then I don't know what we're really doing. And then when it comes to the tournament, I really appreciate how you guys are talking about the matchups as opposed to the seeds, just because, I mean, you saw Virginia was the best team in the country. They lost 4 games all year, and they lost to a 16 seed. Like, it's just March. So you can't base everything off of the success in March. obviously at some point you need to make a little bit of a run. You can't get bounced out of the tournament in the first round every single year for 20 years or whatever. But I mean, my personal expectations is top 4 every year in the Big Ten, and competing for Big Ten titles. And then after that, it's all the luck of the draw in the NCAA tournament. And I think I've learned that as I've gotten older and had the chance to like really listen to like you guys and former players and the analysts, and really got to like grasp it. But some of the dudes on Twitter, they got like 12 followers and they got some picture of paint as their profile picture, and they're going on a tangent about why paint needs to be gone and all this. It's BS to me.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree. And I just want fans to think about this too in the tournament. It's obviously this is a different year because they're in the bubble, but even still that, like, you're not sleeping in your home, you're on the road. One day you can wake up, like, as a human being, we all have days. You don't know if your star players got into it with his girlfriend, if some family stuff happened. He might be on a hot streak shooting the ball, and just for some reason today, the ball's not dropping in. And it's like every year in March, I love it because fans is like, some upsets, quote unquote upsets are coming, but you don't know who it's going to be. Like a team like Wisconsin playing a fast-paced team like Oregon. It's obviously the dominant of styles, but if you're not making shots, it doesn't matter how your style is going. I just think people don't think about just that day. Like, you don't know what's going on with everybody in that day.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just, Ray, you were going to say something?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of like the aura of March. Like, if Ohio State played, who'd they play? Oral Roberts. If they played them earlier in the year, I bet they would have beat them, probably in non-conference. If we played North Texas in December, we would have beat them.
Yeah.
Hands down. But it's just like kind of the aura of March and the whole, like, win or go home. Like, it's single elimination. So, anything could happen. And obviously we've seen that this year more than others.
Yeah, you can. Your whole legacy. I get. Because my thing is, your whole legacy can't be based on a tournament. You know what I mean? And your whole legacy can't be based on what your players did in one game. What do you mean? I get it. I get people win national championships and people win multiple. But people normally have multiple NBA players on their team. Certain things that those top, call it what you want, those top schools they have, certain systems they have, is just gonna go through. It's always the matchups, always the players. It's the players and the coach's game. You know what I mean? So if a coach makes it to the Final Four, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Right. So if a player makes it to the Final Four, am I one of the greatest players to ever play in the school? Right. No matter where I am on the bench, if I'm the 7th man, I'm one of the best players. I should be able to have any type of ability that the coach has at the school. You should look at me the same way. I did exactly the same amount of work as a coach. If he can't get this without me, that's why it's hard to put base somebody's legacy on stuff like that. You should base somebody's legacy on the consistency of winning, kind of the consistency of recruiting, how people feel about them. How they win, how they go about win. Honestly, did they cheat or not? That should be right. Because since I've been in the since I left the Big Ten, or since I've been in the Big Ten, since I've been a part of the Big Ten, even committed to Purdue, there's only 2 coaches left, Tom Izzo and Coach Payne. High school. So it's like, what more do you want? Especially in a world of so much change. Is a guy that's consistent. What you see is what you get. In the world of social media, he ain't gonna lie to you. He's not gonna fall into the trap with the kids. I haven't seen a recruit come out and say that nothing bad. You know what I mean? So for me, we got who we need. We got who we want. The way of Purdue, the way we play, we count turnovers.
Yeah.
I was like, my first game, I was like, what are they doing? And I was like, when I was like a freshman in high school, I'm looking over there, like they counting threes. I'm like asking Jay Simpson what they doing. He don't know. So it's one of those things where like he understands that we got the paint crew. The paint crew won't be the same. I heard Malcolm Hill on your podcast earlier this week. He was talking about the dome and how loud it gets. You got a guy that played in it, so he understands it, so he knows how to coach in it. You got a guy that gets players excited to play in that. So that's what we want at Purdue. We want a season where we can grow. Next season, we're gonna be better than this season. And then next season, we should be better than this season. But guys are gonna come, they're gonna go. I mean, but from what I've seen, this year was one of the better years. I mean, I love Grady Eifert. That's my boy. Like, that's my dog. Like I played Grady Eifert his first day on campus. Like, he beat me the first game, whatever, right? But we played like 5 more games. He don't even dribble. Like, I don't even let him get a shot off. Like, nah. Like, I want him to question if he should even be at Purdue at that point, because he was talking trash to PJ. And PJ was getting him going. I didn't like it. So it's like, he ends his career with 2 Big Ten championships. He starts in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
And he's the most efficient player in college basketball. And, I mean, you talk to him now. He's on the GA now. I mean, he sounds exactly like Payne.
Yeah.
So, like, it's one of those things where you see what the mode is. You see what you can come into Purdue he went to prep school out of high school. He walked on at Purdue. You see what type of guy he is, because what type of guy Payne is. Because if you do the work, you follow the system, you put the time in, you put the effort in, you don't complain, you're going to have a fair shot to play. And then if you do everything you're being asked of, you go and play. And then if you play, he's going to find a way to make you useful. Because I remember they were like 5, and I remember they lost games that year. I remember they sucked at the beginning of that year.
Yeah.
Guys wanted Grady not to start. Like, no, don't start him. He's the walk-on. And Payne, I think he did make a change, but he didn't take Grady out.
No.
And then we go to the Elite Eight. So it's like, we can listen to the fans. If it was up to the fans, we would have made the wrong change. So it's like, I got who I wanted to hit.
And I want to give Payne some credit on this, because people don't talk about it, but we are student athletes, right? You can attest that. Like, Payne cares about his guys graduating. Like, he really cares about that. And people don't even, like, it's bigger. Basketball is definitely a super focus, a main focus for Coach Payne. He wants that. But all his guys that come through there, he wants you to get your education. He wants you to be the best person you can be in life. Yeah. And you have to give that credit, because I know a lot of coaches, and I'll say a lot of players I met professionally, and you hear those guys say, man, my coach didn't care about me, man. My coach just, once basketball's over with, I can't call coach. Coach don't talk to me. We don't go back. Coach didn't care what we did. And overall, as a fan, this is the man you want representing your university, because he speaks for you not only on the court, but also when we carry ourselves off the court, we represent you guys. And he wants all that.
100%. Like, there's not been a time where, like, I'll tell it, like, there's not been a time where I've even thought about, like, reaching out to Payne, and, like, the thought of him not being there was a thought. Because, I mean, like, for me, like, I'm now with Eli Lilly in October, and I talk with Payne for 5 minutes. I tell him what I want to do with my life. I tell him my vision. I kind of, like, it's whatever. I give him everything. Take 10 minutes. I'm on the phone with someone. I'm planning it all out. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's bigger than basketball. I'm laying in the bed. I'm asleep. I get a phone call. My phone's ringing. I answer. I act like I'm up because I see who it is. Obviously, every time you see coach name pop up, you just gonna act like you in a player mode.
Yeah.
Payne said, "I know you asleep." No, I wasn't. I know you asleep. All right, I was asleep. Whatever, right? Like he's talking to me about former players that's played for him 12 years ago. He said, "Yo, we need to this needs to happen for this." And this is, I'm like, this dude played for you 12 years ago. I watched this dude when I was in high school. So it's like, he cares that much about his former players, whether they're successful, not only successful in basketball, but successful in the career world. Because for me, it was always, because he knew I had a daughter. So it's, what are you going to do? Like, he would always ask guys, like, how are you going to, I remember one time, I don't know if he asked a guy or if he made a statement, but something that stuck with me is, do you know how much it costs to park downtown Chicago?
Mm.
How you gonna live down? Because when I think one of the guys gonna live downtown Chicago or something, it's like, how you gonna live downtown Chicago? Doing what? So it's like, it's things like that stuck with me. That's like, I looked into that. You gotta make a lot of money to live downtown Chicago. So it's like one of those things where, how can you do that without a basketball? And he was real big on making sure you was where you're supposed to be, making sure I heard they not going to breakfast no more. But making sure you was at breakfast there, that's crazy to me. That's soft. Like, making sure you was at breakfast was big when I was there. Because if you can't make it to breakfast, how you gonna make it to work on time?
Yeah.
So stuff like that, like little things like that were like, for me, everything I'm doing now is bigger than basketball. Because for me, my experience at Purdue was always bigger than basketball. I was never the guy that was averaging 20. I was the guy that was out there playing hard, playing defense. But for me, it was about how could we raise money for the carry home? How could we do this in the community? How could we do this? How could I become a better me and go to career fairs and whatnot and show my teammates they could do the same? Because here I am, 22, I get hurt. I'm glad I went to those career fairs. So it's one of the things where paint allowed me the freedom. Paint allowed me to miss a few workouts to go to a few meetings. I missed things to better myself career-wise. So it wasn't, there was things you had to make, I mean, obviously. But it wasn't, if you were bettering yourself in another way, it wasn't a knock on that. Because it was always, when you 35, I remember, I don't know if 35 was the right age, but nobody's gonna care if you can make a free throw. And that's what was big to him. And that's what stuck with me. So, I mean, if you were, like, for me, like, I know I'm rambling out, but like parents and like recruits, like, you want to go somewhere where the guy is that way. You want to go somewhere where you're going to be exposed to the John Purdue Club at different meetings and sitting down and just having conversations, just learning. I mean, one of the best people I met was John 9 in my life. Like, John 9 is an angel. So it's like one of those people where I'm a freshman, I'm in Italy. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know him, but he's talking to me. I'm introduced to him. And then next you know, we're back at Purdue. He's taking me through the pharmacy school. So it's one of those things where you meet different people through Purdue, through Paint, because Paint has great relationships with everybody. Yeah. So next you know, John 9 comes one of my biggest supporters, becomes one of because my endower at Purdue pays for my scholarship through the John Purdue Club. Next you know, when I graduate, we're still communicating when I graduate. He's still reaching out. He's still helping me. We're just talking. So it's one of those things where you get an email from John 9 and, hey, how you doing? No matter what your day is, you just feel better because you know John 9, you know he means well. But you never build those type of relationships if you don't have that open environment for your athletic program. Because some athletic programs, they don't allow you to mingle. They don't allow you to make relationships. They don't allow you to do different things if it's not basketball driven. And Purdue was always, I would meet with John 9 in the student union and just talk about class. Like, he would just want to talk about class and how class is going. So Purdue has people within the program that it's not about shooting a free throw. It's not about doing anything for anybody else, but they just want to know. He say, hey, how you doing? Hey, that's awesome. That's great. That's fantastic. So all his responses would be. But sometimes you just need that. And I always appreciate it, like guys like that around the program, but also Paint allowing the right guys around the program. You don't have that at every school, I don't think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, from
John 9, man.
Yeah, shout out to John 9. Shout out.
Saw his email the other day.
Hey, Ray, do you have to bounce?
What time is it? Damn, bro. Yeah, I gotta take my daughter to her grandma's house. But yeah, I gotta head out. I appreciate you. I'm late, man. I'm supposed to be there at 10:50. It's 11:50 now. All right, I'm gonna talk to y'all later.
All right, Ray.
Yeah.
All right, Lou. So it's just you and me now. So I want to talk about going forward. I know Ray's stance on it, but do you think Paint should look into the transfer portal?
I would like him to. I definitely would like him to. I think sometimes some pieces of it here and there, you can plug them in. You know what I mean? Like, I think, obviously, look at a guy like John Octis. Obviously, we needed a point guard at that time, but you can, if you mess around, you can find a guy like J.O. in the transfer pool. I can't remember all the other guys that came through because one guy tore his knee. He didn't get a chance, but he can play with Sterling Carter. I want to Johnny. Yeah. I'm trying to get those guys a shot. But when you look at those guys, like, if you can plug them in necessarily, they might not be your starters, but you can get them and they could be your 6th, 7th man in that rotation. You know, something we may be lacking, another aggressive scorer or maybe a setup guy or another big. I mean, I think you always can look into it. And obviously sometimes for the transfers, it is a tough adjustment because you may be there for 1 year. But if you can find the right pieces to plug in, I definitely think you should take a look into that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we actually offered him, but I know we reached out to Marion Jackson from Toledo.
Okay.
He's a dog. He's a dog. He averaged like 19, 4, and 5 or something like that. I think he'd be really good off the bench behind Ivy and and Eric, but because a lot of people are kind of hating on Eric, and I know Ray kind of talked about it, but talk about just how hard it is, especially coming off that injury, to jam the basketball and then have to put in the work on offense as well.
Man, it's extremely hard, especially it's hard getting hurt in the season because now you think about like you may be in summer shape. You've come into, you know, the open gyms and you're in practice shape, but now some of those games you're missing, now you're not fully in game shape or you're just a step slower. Like I'll never forget when I first came back and I felt great. And it's not a knock to Mark Wolford or Bobby Riddell, but at the time, well, Mark, because Bob was going, yeah. But no, Bob was there as a GA. And like I'm in practice and I'm making certain moves that I know like I normally blow past guys and just I'm a step slow. They're in game shape. They have their game rhythm and just more comfortable. So now you start to play mental games with yourself. You're like, man, I feel comfortable, but things are not dropping. You know this should be dropping for you. And it's just trying to get back to that level. And it's hard for some reason to play catch up, especially when you're dealing with a lower body injury. And then you're asking them to guard. 94 feet, like that takes a lot out of you. So now you're asking him to guard and he's doing it well. He's not slacking. That's a lot of energy. So now offense, sometimes he may not admit it, but I know sometimes like I just was like, I need to go to the corner. I'm guarding some of the best guards in the country, let alone not guarding a guy that's just kind of bringing it up, passing it. Like, got a guy's trying to score 20. Mm-hmm. So now I have to make sure I'm a lockdown defender. Then I'm going to push the ball to get the ball in the rotation. By the time I get there, I might just like, okay, I need to go to the corner. Like one of you other guys, do what y'all need to do. I need to catch my win. So he'll continue to get better. He's older. He'll figure out, we kind of call it cheat. Me and Keaton Grant. Well, Keaton used to tell me, like, one day you're going to learn how to cheat it. And I used to like, what? And then you learn how to pick your spots. You become smarter. You know when to catch your breaks, when to go. So he'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. And then who do you think are a couple guys that will improve the most going into next season? You kind of mentioned Edey, and I think this guy's a limit for him. I mean, I think he's going to be a beast.
Big fan of Edey. Like, I've always been a big fan of Travion. When I met Travion his freshman year, I see what he was doing. Like, I remember telling coach, like, yo, Travion's special. But, like, I have an affection for big man and Zach, just at his size. Like, I always look at guys at their size. Like, it's no disrespect to Isaac. Matt Harms wasn't bad, but just their lateral movement. When you see guys at that size, like, can you really move laterally? And just for Zach to be that big, and you see him out there trying to contest shots at the three-point line, you see he's getting a little bit more physical. He's had big games, the IU game early in the season, just games. And it's like, man, after this year, once he has that Big Ten experience. I just think for all freshmen, that switch kind of clicks, especially when you have success. So Zach is the big one I'm looking for. I think Brandon Newman will round out a little bit more. I think obviously we know what Jaden Ivey's going to be, but I think for Brandon Newman, he went from seeing that he can have success scoring the ball. I know for a fact that he know I'm cool with one of his mentors, his trainers. He needs to get a little bit better on defense. And I think he will make that adjustment. I think him and Ivey together are going to push each other so much. He's going to get better on defense, and now he understands how to score the ball and what really his style and how his game can be beneficial to the team. I think a lot of freshmen come in, you're so used to being in high school doing it your way, kind of doing this. Now you have to figure out how can I be an efficient scorer with other guys that can score just as well as me. So I think those two are the two guys I'm really looking to see the most out of. I think obviously Mason will continue to improve. What's my guy that coming in? Caleb Frost. Am I saying it right?
First.
I knew I was gonna mess up. I actually watched him. I watched him against Marion. I got to see him against Marion, and I like his skill set. So it's going to be interesting to see how he will develop with obviously those guys ahead of him, which I think is going to be a great learning situation for him. But I am excited to see him and what he does when he comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for him and Kaufman Wren.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he can play the three. He's going to be like a 3-4. And if we want to go big for a lineup, he's 6'9". You got First at 6'10", and then either Trey, who's like, I don't know how tall he is, 6'10".
Yeah, give him 6.
And then you got Gillis, who's kind of a smaller forward, but I mean, he plays bigger than he is.
Right.
Yeah.
And the best thing about all those guys this year, now it reminds me of my sophomore season. We had like 15 guys on the roster, but all our top guys came back. Then you added like Kelsey Barlow. Like you added so many guys that you kind of looked over like, hey, man, if I don't show up today, my minutes, I can already start thinking about my minutes. So the competition is going to help those freshmen that much more entering before they even get to the season. Because like Ray said earlier, the summer games are going to be crazy. Like I want to go watch it. I want to play in some, but to watch those summer games, like I remember that as my sophomore year with Keaton, Grant, Kelsey, Etwan, Ryan, Kramer, you kind of looking over like, man, like John Hart, like Mark Whoop, like, it was so many guys lined up, still sharp and still. So now those guys are it's going to be a great season. It's going to be a great summer for them.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about the two guys we have transferring out, and Wheeler and Emmanuel? I know Emmanuel really never got going. He only played 9 games in 3 years. Excuse me. I mean, that's just kind of a byproduct of the guys he was behind. And
right.
I thought he had a good shot to play this year. And then Edey came in and he blew all of us away. There's no way anybody thought that he'd be that good.
Absolutely.
But then Wheeler's kind of in a different spot. So how do you what were your thoughts on both of those guys leaving?
With Emmanuel leaving, like you said, like it was never any minutes there. You got guys like I met him, good guy. He's a good athlete. Like, he's a good player. It's just that's part of the nature of this business sometimes. Like each year, if the coach can get a guy that might be a stud and, he can overplay you, he might just overplay you. If one thing I give Payne, he'll allow you a chance to compete. So, I don't think it's not a bad decision for him because you don't want a guy to sit there and, yeah, it is cool to be part of winning teams, but eventually you do want to play. And, he tried. So you respect that. You just want nothing but the best for him in that. And then with Aaron, it's kind of similar. I think, like he's had great moments. He struggled obviously sometimes. And I just think he may feel like, just with so many people that's coming in and just the way the team is structured, it was the best thing for him to do. So I think neither one of those transfer moves are bad just because of how much talent it is. And when you look at those guys, like, especially for Aaron, I mean, he'll be a senior.
Mm-hmm.
So, realistically, your minutes, you may be looking at 20, 25 minutes just because how deep we are. And at this point, he's probably thinking about himself as a professional. And if this is, what he wants to do, and just even getting out there and wanting to play 25, 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm not opposed to neither one of those transfers because it's just we're stacked. And Aaron's had good games, good success, but it's not been consistent. So I understand why he may want to just try and get a new situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Payne was probably understanding with both of the guys compared to last year when we lost No-Gel and Harms.
Right, totally different.
Yeah, so how do these two situations kind of compare?
You're saying the No-Gel?
Yeah, so like this year's transfers to No-Gel and Matt.
Yeah, okay, so for me, and it's just being blunt, it is what it is. For me, like I didn't understand the No-Gel move. I didn't like even when I see No-Gel body size, I'm like, you just won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. You just left for Elite Eight. You are the starter. And I'm not knocking you, but everybody, like, you don't even want to shoot a 15-foot jump shot. But you played 30-plus minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you leaving? And, like, even if you think Coach Painter is not playing you the right way, it's some accountability for yourself. Like, I always remember Coach Painter would always tell us, hey, man, I don't mind you doing this. Like, you shooting jumpers, you doing this, but you prove that to me in practice. You're not going to come out here and just in games and think, oh, you should be doing this, and you haven't proven it. But with No-Gel, it's like, yo, you're playing. You are legit. You are a starter. So I didn't agree with that move. With Matt, I felt like because Travion was having a little bit more success and he pushed Matt kind of to the backup role, he didn't like that, and the competition, in a sense, bothered him. So he thought he needed to leave. And I think that's the difference between these guys and the guys that's transferring this year. You guys were starters or playing valuable minutes. And just because another guy came in and kind of competed and took some of your minutes from you, you kind of ran from that. That's like, for me, and I have the utmost respect for him. That's like Keaton Grant transferring. Because I came in like, yeah, we split minutes, but you are very valuable. Now you're the sixth man of this team. Like, are you running because you're not starting anymore? Or it's a little bit harder for you now? And I don't agree with that because, you, like I said, both those guys were in prime position to where these two guys, they're Aaron is in a little better position, but he may only play 15 minutes a night. Mm-hmm. You know, like he's not our set sixth man, seventh man. Like he's not necessarily set for that. So I understand him. He's did 3 years. He's tried. You know, he's figured it out. He's did everything the team that he hasn't complained. None did that. Same thing with Emmanuel. Like got hurt, tried to work it out, got better. It just didn't work out. But these guys didn't run from starting positions or I'm in your top 7 rotation because my minutes aren't where I would like them to be. I'm leaving a winning program.
Mm-hmm. Listen, yeah, I mean, you and Ray would know better than I do, but when you come to Purdue as a big man, especially, you know what's expected. You know you're going to split minutes with the other big. I mean, we've done that for how many every year since AJ was here.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I felt like they kind of ran from adversity. I personally wish the best for him.
No doubt. No.
Like, I saw some, like, it was mostly like positive feelings for Aaron, but I saw some people like crapping on him and stuff. And it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I know one thing Painter said I thought was interesting. I listened back to it the other day when he went on Dockage after that no Jellison harms transfer. Yeah. He said, you might have gotten your degree from Purdue, but you're not a Boilermaker if you walk out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, he went hard in the paint. On them last year.
I can't do nothing but agree. Like, I mean, because I get where he's coming. Why did you go? What? Why? Give me a legit reason. You know, like I guess, like going back to Aaron, like I get his situation. Like I don't knock kids to transfer for. I won't knock none of them, but I will look at some of them differently. Like if you're transferring because you think the coach isn't treating you right, but you're playing 30 plus minutes, stupid. You know how many guys want to play 30 plus minutes in college at an elite level? That doesn't make sense. So I understand that because that's what Payne's saying. Like you ran from it. You ran from a little adversity or a little competition that you didn't like. Purdue guys don't do that. Regardless if it doesn't go your way, you make mistakes, it's going your way. When adversity hits, you continue to fight. That's our motto. Like you know, that's all you can do. And if you don't want to do that, you're not a Purdue guy at heart. Our culture is not you. Mm-hmm. So I get what he's saying. Like that's not you because it's going to happen. Adversity is going to happen. Like Payne's going to bring in another guy that can be in the NBA. But that's what's going to make you better. It's going to make you understand life. And all you do is compete. And that's all we ask at Purdue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the Wheeler transfer is kind of similar to when Jaquil Taylor left.
Yeah.
It's just better for him to go, like for himself. So, I mean, I don't hold it against him or anything.
Yeah.
To wrap this up, I just want to get what are your expectations? Like where are they set for next season? And then what do they need to do to find that recipe for success in the postseason?
I think an Elite Eight, even a Final Four. I'm not even gonna say a Final Four is out the stretch as far as the tournament wise, but I definitely think we can win the Big Ten. I think that should be our first primary goal, win the Big Ten championship, which I think is very capable. It's very doable for us this year. As far as my critiques or my expectations for them to get better, just defensively, continue to get better defensively. You know what I mean? Like we take pride in our defense. And I think the one thing Purdue fans may not want to say, and I've kind of seen it, and it's not a knock to our guards because they do play well. But our success on defense starts with our guards. When our guards are able to contain crafty guards, we win. We win at a high level. When we lose to crafty guards. Our bigs are going to be down there. You know what I mean? We got he's got the shot blockers. He's got enough guys now that's physical down there that can control the paint, and they're going to rebound, they're going to body. So I just think overall, this is our guards taking that ownership in a sense. Like, I remember we used to say, like, hey, man, Taylor Battle, Tim Frazier, such coming in this gym tonight, Trey Burke, they're not going to have a career night on us. You're going to hate playing us. So them just taking that accountability, continuing to get better with each other, push each other, compete. I think the formula's there for them, and they're going to be a great team next year.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, I would have to agree. I know we caught you in the middle of a bad situation, but thank you so much for coming on. I know Ray had to dip out on us, so at least we got you guys together for a little bit.
Hopefully we could do it again.
Yes, sir. But again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for all the support you and Ray have been showing me. I told him this the other day. It means a lot.
Oh, no doubt. You're going to take over, man. When we look back 5-10 years, we're going to laugh. Just you taking over. You're going to be the Purdue guy, all access to the players, coaches. You taking over. Just continue to do what you do, man. You got our support. I appreciate what you do for the Boilers and how, you talking. I appreciate it, man. So whatever you need from me, you let me know.
Yes, sir. All right, man. I'm going to let you go.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, you